Hi guys, it's been a while since we've had a look at how our farm animals are going, so let's go for a walk and we'll see what's new and what's changed. I think I'll call this one Parmigiana. These fellas are really starting to put some weight on now. I just measured this bloke. There's a formula you can use if you measure their girth just behind their front legs and their length to work out roughly how heavy they are. This fella's about 70 kilos or just over, so probably another 10 or 15 kilos and he'll be ready for the butcher, and the little one will just go with him as well. She's not going to be quite up to weight, but we're going to get them both done at the same time. So we're pretty happy with how these guys are going. We've been using the chicken tractor for about a week now. The chickens seem quite happy in here. We just drag it along every day on the fresh grass. There's not a real lot of green grass for them here at the moment. As I've said elsewhere, we haven't had rain for about 3 months, maybe a little bit over 3 months, so everything's looking pretty brown, but we move them along, keep them on fresh ground. This is our big Indian game boy. We're crossing him with Dorkings at the moment. That's the best hens we've got, but some of our other hens should be nice chunky birds, so we're going to put them in here eventually, and hopefully they'll give us some good meat chickens. Our chickens are growing really fast. I think we've actually got about 40 chickens in this coop at the moment. They'll probably only be here for another, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks. And the roosters, some of the roosters will be ready to separate out, and we'll butcher those. Many of the hens will be left for a while until we work out which ones we want to keep. I'm not quite sure how many we're going to end up keeping at this point, but I'd say probably we'll keep a dozen or so hens, maybe a couple more. And the rest will be butchered for eating. You can see where those chickens are sitting in the doorway. That's caused us a couple of issues with the door. They tend to do that at night as well for some reason. They're not all going inside the coop and up onto the roosts as yet. Most of the younger chickens are still sitting on the floor of the coop. So what happens at night is we get a couple sitting in the entranceway there, and when the door goes to close, the door actually rests on the chickens that are sitting there, which stops the door from going down far enough to register that it's closed. So the little wheel that winds the string up in the top mechanism here, it keeps winding, and it actually winds itself backwards and winds the door back up. So the door ends up being stuck open for the night because of the chickens sitting in the doorway. So it's one thing I'm not super happy with. I was hoping this would be pretty much fail safe, but you know, obviously nothing really is. But hopefully once we cut back on the number of chickens in here and some of them start to go up on the roosts, the older chooks have no problem at all. They will go up onto the top of the roosts, and during the day when it's hot, I've noticed the younger chickens, they'll climb up the roosts and actually go and sit right up in the roof where it's a bit cooler. But at night, for some reason, they don't want to roost. They just prefer to all sit together down on the floor. So I'm not real sure what to do about that, and it is causing us a couple of issues at the moment. But overall, we're very happy with how our chickens are going. I'm also working on a drum smoker using an old Weber kettle and a 44-gallon drum. Hopefully it'll be ready by the time we butcher these guys, and we'll be able to smoke a few of these chickens, because we do like a bit of smoked chicken. This is little Daphne the goat. She's just one of our pet animals. She won't ever be used for eating or anything like that. And originally we were going to keep her in with our sheep, but she doesn't have any respect at all for the electric fences, and in fact she taught one of our sheep how to escape the electric fence. So at the moment she's just tethered, and we just move her as she mows down an area. She does a pretty good job actually. She eats pretty much anything. So that's Daphne. Let's go and have a look at the sheep. One of our ewes has had 2 little ewe lambs in the last week. We've had a bit of problems with her. She wasn't feeding either of them in the early stages, so we had to come out here every few hours and catch the ewe and just hold her and try and help the lambs to feed. Now we've just got a few of these fence panels and just tied them together so that she's in a little area and can't run away from the lambs, and they seem to be feeding themselves now, so hopefully things will go a bit better and she'll keep feeding them. One was fairly small and weak. You can see the smallest one of the 2. She seems to be getting a decent feed now, so we'll just keep an eye on her and see how she goes, but at the moment everything's going pretty well. Hello, Mr. Ram. Always got to keep an eye on this fella. He hasn't showed any aggression to anybody yet, but we don't trust him just the same. They're more interested in the treats that we usually bring them than anything else. One problem that we have had here of late is how dry the place is. We haven't had any rain here really for about 3 months now, so the ground's really dry, so our electric fence hasn't been delivering the charge that it should, because to complete the circuit of an electric fence you have to have moisture in the ground to transfer the current back to the unit from wherever the animal touches the fence. Initially it wasn't a problem. Our animals were pretty much trained to the electric fence, so they had a healthy respect for the fence, maybe a bit of fear of the fence, so they didn't really test it. We brought another animal onto the farm. That's Daphne the goat, and she didn't have any respect for the electric fence, so she just walked straight through it, didn't really care. And because it wasn't working to its peak efficiency, she wasn't really getting much of a shock, so she didn't care. One of our sheep, Matilda, watched Daphne the goat go through the fence and thought, well, if Daphne can do it, so can I. So she just started escaping and we couldn't keep her in. We made the decision that Matilda would have to find another home, so we found another farm nearby that would take her, that had better fencing than us and that could keep her in. So now we're down to 2 ewes and a ram and the 2 little lambs that have been born. To try and rectify the problem with the fence, what we've done, instead of we originally had 3 powered wires running around the sheep paddock. What we've done now is we've got 5 wires. The very bottom one here is an earth wire. It runs back to the earth on the unit, and this 3rd one is also an earth. The other 3 are still powered. So how that works is that the animal has to touch both an earth wire and a power wire to receive a shock, but when they do get a shock they'll get the full 6,500 volts from the unit. We've tested it with a digital tester without the earth wires and just earthing to the ground. They were getting maybe 2,500 volts. With this setup they'll get 6,500. So we're hoping that makes a difference and stops everybody from escaping until we can get some rain and the fence will work properly again. When I made our little mobile chicken tractor a couple of weeks ago, I knocked up a little shelter for the goat and for the sheep, or mainly for the goat. Just using the same method, little timber frame, polypipe arches, bit of wire mesh and a tarp over the top. It worked really well until the goat decided that it wanted to use it as a playpen and jumped on top of it, squashed it all down. Yeah, now it's all bent out of shape. So We're going to have to figure out something a little bit stronger for the goat, I think. So that's where everything's at with our farm animals at the moment. Some animals are just beginning their lives here, others are getting close to the end. Obviously it's going to be sad to see some of them go. You get attached to them after they've been here a while. But we're comfortable in the fact that the animals that we do have here that are going, they've had a good life here. A better life than they would have had elsewhere. So we're comfortable with that and looking forward to enjoying them in other ways. So that's about it at Duck Ponds for another week. Don't forget to leave us a comment, like our video, share us around, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Steam it, and we'll see you next time.